Good evening, everyone. We are on to our 72nd episode of Book of Hours, our first run on YouTube, playing as the artist. And we have unlocked another part of the house. We've got a few irons in the fire, so let's do a quick review of what we're going to try and finish before the sun comes up. And then we'll talk about our plans for the day. So we have unlocked the staff room. The warders at Brandkrug were a cut above your usual prison warder, formerly bureau constables, repentant no, turncunt Traguleri. Traguleri. Veterans from the Legion de Sol. When the end came, none of that mattered. But here, for a while, when the winter storms battered the walls, they hunkered close to this glowing stove to share tea and comradeship and stories of their very different lives. So a bunch of things for us to investigate in here. Nothing too dramatic in terms of our ability to sort of read new books or anything like that. Although I believe if we take a look at this cell, first of all, some of you may recognize who this is. And of course, we do have some hints of books. So there's the sealed cell. The sign outside this cell reads, "Warning, do not insert keys with first invoking adequate authorization. The key is in the staff room, but I shouldn't turn it without invoking powers to provide a reasonable facsimile of authorization." So that is 12 forge or 12 knock to open that up. I think for reasons that probably do not need elaboration unless this is the very first broadcast that you're watching in this. And then we also have the smoky chamber, which is 12 forge or 12 heart. The room is almost untouched, but little fires still burn here, blithely ignoring the absence of fuel, filling the room with 7 years of smoke. Okay, so it seems to me, if we want to make some progress, probably Forge is going to be one of our guides at this point. So it may not hurt to take a minute and reflect on Denzil and his use, but I'm not going to do that right away. For the simple reason that there are other things that I can do. And on top of that, because one of these is actually related to Knock, I could also just wait for a foggy day, and we might be able to use something with Reverend Timothy as well. So I certainly have no shortage of activities, up to and including reading the remaining books. And then, of course, you can see that we've slowly been creeping towards crafting. So at the end of the day, I've sort of been splitting my attention between making new things, but also checking out a few of the different paintings, and I don't have a problem continuing along those lines. In any case, we're ready to progress. I am rather hoping that this 30-second, we have enough time for the 30-second learning. If not, we're just down a whisk tomorrow. It's not the end of the world. If it was Trist, then that would be not so good, but... Ooh, we just made it. All right. The skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased. And Westcott probably didn't invent all these, but he knew how to make a name stick. So reagents and activants to enhance alchemical operations or the flavor of one's pipe tobacco. So it looks like we've already got... Oh, those are Thyrsa's cordials. Well, obviously we want to put Westcott's compounds beside Thyrsa's cordials. It's another great example of a case where... You know what? We're going to start imposing some order here. So Westcott's compounds are a forge, grail, and lantern. So that seems to be more appropriate for the alchemist set. So let's grab those. Thyrsa's cordials, yes, that's a moth and a nectar, so that feels a little more appropriate in the dispensary. And while we're at it, we'll move these drinks too. So I'm okay keeping Solomon's preparation on the higher shelf. Problem is these things take up so much space. All right, let's move the Ruby Wise Ruin down below. The sacraments probably can get moved as well, but because I don't have an established space for them, I'm okay leaving that aside. Perniculate is an ink, so we can afford to move that as well. I think we could put the hourglass. There we go, something approximating order. So eventually we'll move the flowers out of here. Oop, did I misplace Thyrsa's cordials, or did I just yeah. Turns out I didn't need to move that after all. Okay, so let's say I'm actually gonna move Thyrsa's cordials over here for now. And put the Glassfinger toxin all in the same spot. This will do for now. I feel like there's other improvements that I can make, but I don't need to. It's not going to be like a top to bottom cleaning. There are still other places that I need to tidy anyway. Okay, daybreak, memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. So, I have not... So one small challenge that I have here is that I don't really have a very good justification for bringing in a new assistant, which would normally be my source for winter aspect. The other thing is I would actually like to try messing around with swimming. The challenge is that the beehive is only active at certain seasons. So, and I can't use a core. So in this case, we will use our health, and I'll still use insects and nectars. So gather in summer, honey or beeswax, if I'm careful. Now, if I want to go to the sea's edge, a brisk... Oh, okay. Brisk swim. A swimming requires an element of the soul with heart and scale. Generally, this means health. Okay, so yeah, we're stuck using our health for swimming, which makes perfect sense. I'm not going to complain about that. Now, I suppose I value the wood more than I do the fish, but it occurs to me that I can actually get both. So if I use the fat... Well, actually, I can get both just using the heart, so it's not that exciting either way. But because we have it... Actually, maybe I should wait for the weather before I go too far on my remaining decisions. So let's just... see, I don't think there's anything in summer that's really going to make me... Okay, sunny day, so it doesn't really move the needle either way. I should just double check too. I don't think we have anything... Oh, we do have something moth related. Okay. So I could spare myself... This is actually worth thinking about for a minute here. So I can get 2 moth from a visitor. It's going to take a minute to work this out. So 2 moth from a visitor. Let's say we can get 3 from a memory. 1 from a tool. 2 from Trist. Memory tool, Trist. Okay, so that gives us 5, 6, 7, 8 to work with. I would need to find another 3. So what's my big clever idea to get 3 moth? I'm not convinced by what I see here. Like there may be an angle here that I'm not really thinking about, but the point of this is to be straightforward. And I do have some powerful Moth aspect in the form of the Skin Shuck Mead, but given the fact that I can already bring in Mr. Kill, in fact, let's just work that out now, because maybe Mr. Kill is the person I bring in to get some memories, and then I don't need to worry about sacrificing my Tryst. So, I believe with Mr. Kill, it's 2 Whist, then a memory. We'll say regret. Which does mean we're technically competing with Quenchings and Quellings, but I'll worry about that later. Then we have 4 from Solomon's Preparation. We have 2 from the Whist, which of course we renew. That gives us 2, 4, 8, 10 to start with, and then 1 wood. Seems like a good start. Now we won't have him for a minute, which is a small challenge, although we will be able to renew the element of the soul, so there's a small bonus there. So yeah, Mr. Kill always enjoys a chance to catch up with me. If you don't choose a topic, Mr. Kill will offer help as a friend. So we will do that. And we'll also make some money with the core. Now, Quenchings and Quellings. So we'll set aside one of the core to level that up because I don't want to use it with Winter. The question here really is how, what is the best way for me to get the things that I need? Well, okay, let's actually start from the very beginning. Let's read the Serenity of the Black Wood, because that's a pretty straightforward Moth text for me to read, and we can move our way up from there. So, in fact, with the Edict's Liminal... Okay, yeah, we're one... We need to have all our ducks in a row for this, so... I can master this mystery, enough Moth to match Mystery Moth, and of course the memory will be what we use for subsequent readings. So, I don't actually need to make this that complicated. I can use the Arab, which isn't really going to be used for anything else. I can use that to generate the Winter memory that I need, both for the Quenchings and Quellings and for Mr. Kill. Now, the cost to that effectively is I have fewer opportunities to read paintings from Brian Levinson, but on the other hand, I have been, I'm going to be reading this book and probably wanting to use my Elements of the Soul to level up skills anyway. So I think, given the present circumstances, I am going to use one of the Arab to... to level up Quenchings and Quellings, and in fact I will use, I'll read Glimmerings for the simple reason that I know nothing else can generate the Winter from that. So, Forge the work accomplished. I have already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. So what about the rest of the Elements of the Soul? I think probably I'm just going to stay put with them. Oh no, sorry. I am going to... So we are going to take our walk. Gather in summer, the wind's almost warm. I'm going to leave the beach until we have Quenchings and Quellings locked in. And again, the reason why I went for the money right away was because I expect that I'm going to want to renew a few Elements of the Soul later in the day. Mr. Kale can always spare a few hours to help a friend. Coffin maker's assistant, a tamer of trees, a worker of woods, a consigner of cadavers. He has also been known to try his hand very diffidently at poetry. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next couple of days was me reading one Moth book a day. We'll see whether or not it turns out that way, but I don't think that's a terrible way to use the summer. Okay, Glimmerings, an anonymous prison diary written by a dreamer convicted of oniric irresponsibility and confined to the cucurbit. The prisoner is plainly terrified and bewildered by their situation and has been unable to wrangle a coherent explanation out of anyone, but the dreams keep coming and they keep writing them down. Snow, broken mirrors, half-heard sky music, flowers of white, red, and black, a blood-streaked winter dawn. The most notorious signifiers of oniric risk, fantastically vivid and detailed. No wonder they were locked up, but their final recorded dream is of a worm jewel beneath Brankrug Isle, which they open with a key carved from their finger bone. So there's the bittersweet certainty. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. So we'll bring the whist back first, because we need that for Mr. Kill. It is summer and I'm sitting on a bench outside the Sweet Bones eating crumbly cheese in nettle wrappings and good black rye bread soaking up the sun. And I've learnt enough to puzzle out books in this language, though it may be slow going. Ericapean, a language of surpassing beauty and elusiveness, revealed through the ecstatic apprehensions of the Orphics, the Eleusinians, and the Sibyls of the Rhine. Ericapean, these mystics claimed, allows for the elaboration of hues, sensations, and states of mind too subtle for grosser tongues. So 2 lantern, 1 winter. There is actually a side of me which says, you know, we can just commit this to the Tree of Wisdoms already, although Hushery and Illumination, Illumination already has something in it, so essentially I would only be learning the details of one... Hey, where'd you go? So The King in the Mirror. There is a story told by students of Silence that a great and golden king held the only key to his deepest prison cell. One day he gave the key to his minister and offered him a choice to submit to execution or to visit the cell and tell him what he found there. The minister made the wiser choice and returned to show the king what he had found in the cell, a mirror. Then I release you, the king declared. The minister left the palace the same day. His reflection, of course, said nothing at all. This is one I'd probably be willing to level up, but I'll save that for another time. So, let's start with leveling up Quenchings and Quellings. Am I really that foolish? Apparently I am. Well, seems like an easy fix to me. We'll start talking with Mr. Kill about a bittersweet... Well, I guess we can hang on to the bittersweet certainty, so let's just keep talking with Mr. Kill for a little while. I'm going to hang on to the core because, again, we want to commit Quenchings and Quellings. So probably no trip to Crowcross Sands today. Alright, we got some more honey. The honey's slowly going to take over the pantry, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. Alright, unexpected folds in the earth and sky. We've got another wild viper. Don't make any sudden moves. Now, I'm not opposed to a second wild viper, but perhaps we don't want any competition here. Actually, we have 2 wild vipers already, so I really should be hanging on to one. This is actually kind of inconvenient. I think in this case we'll just release this particular one. I could release it to the waves and the winds or the sands as it prefers. So this is useful for my level up. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales. Well, who'd listen? So the solace is actually very helpful here. We probably have everything we need to be able to get my item leveled up and then be able to level up Mr. Kill. So let's give him Solomon's Preparation. Again, this is out of order for me normally, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to use Mr. Kill to get further into the house, so I can offer my assistant something to drink. So my reasoning here is that we should get the loss from the Viper, and we can use that to level up Quenchings and Quellings, and we save the Bittersweet Certainty for... Oh, hindsight. Okay. There were 2 of us, and now there's 1. So we will level up Quenchings and Quellings now. I am no expert, but I'm no dabbler either. Improve this skill to level 3. And then from there we'll use the Bittersweet Certainty with Mr. Kill to level him up. We'll use the Whist that we recover to level him up. And probably give him the wood right away and then farm him for memories for the rest of the day. We have 4 elements of the soul to work with for anything we find partway through the day. But now the time has come for us to find out what we get out of the Serenity of the Blackwood. An allegorical history of the House of Leith, which it is here implied was inspired by the centipede. Serrano Blackwood is an occult alias to this day. The proverbial footloose gathers travelers in a wood and leads them through, but abandons them part way. They find themselves beset by glorious monsters. The travelers discover they can survive if they close their eyes. They adopt a closed eye as their sign, and that they can go unnoticed if they drink from the clear, cold streams. But they never forget that proverbial footloose, the centipede, but they never forgive her either. So more Sacralamea. Now this is actually kind of helpful because I believe this is something we were going to use to get the Mazarine Fife. And then we've got a Confounding Parable to work with, so I think I've got my work cut out for me to actually make Sacralamea a higher level memory, but it's something I'm willing to work on. So... Confounding Parables. 108's my go-to for... Oh, we're starting to run out of room. Okay, Moth and Sky. The sunny day actually helps me out here, so we have enough to be able to level up Sacralamea right off the bat. That's helpful. I will need to recover my Faust, but we may be in a situation where we can level both of these up before the end of the day. I don't see any value in improving... Why did I bring... Right, I brought Whist back for Mr. Kill. I don't see any value in trying to tackle another Moth text today, but maybe with core... Well, I could try going for the swim. Let's bring back my core. If nothing else, again, it's just a chance for me to earn a little bit of money. Okay, down to the Grushians. Oop. So we'll boost Mr. Kill with a Bittersweet Certainty. I feel even more secure using the Bittersweet Certainty here because with Sacralamea we're going to need Moth and Sky as opposed to Lantern or Winter. So this is just a chance for us to boost up Mr. Kill even further. We'll bring him up to 10 with the Whist, and then one more with the Wood, which doesn't give me a whole lot of time to farm some memories from him, but we also don't need a whole lot of time to get the memories that we need as well. So the skill is now level 3. Its power aspects have also increased. So let's get the Sacralamea improvement right away. There's no reason for me to hang on to these or see if I can get something better. This is sufficient. So whether or not we can get the 3 that we need later in the day, that's a whole other question. But we will first of all move that to level 3, and it'll eventually become a level 4, so we can move Watchman's Paradoxes down. Okay, so we've got the Whist, Arab, Shapt, and Metal to work with. Now again, this requires Sky or Moth, so essentially we're going to want to restore the Faust next. And if I want, I mean at this point here, yeah, if I restore the Faust, I can just, you know, kind of hive off the Arab Metal Shapt and call it a day. Of course, it would be nice to be checking out some more of the paintings in Elopolis Nook. So, yeah, I think a lot of this depends on our conversations with Mr. Kill in the next minute or so. The primary goal, as always, I find it useful to sort of assign a given goal for any point in the day. So in this particular case, the goal for the day is to open up the Worm-Eaten Hall, and if I happen to be able to get a higher level of Sacralamea, you know, those are sort of primary, secondary goal of the day, and then everything left over can be the slow investigation of Hush House. And it's a little bit of a shame because there's a bunch of interesting stuff in the prison that would be really, like, it would be interesting to follow up on. And in fact, this is stuff that I haven't even read in my main playthrough on the stream. But it does feel a little weird to just sort of abandon the earlier parts of the house, you know, in favor of the shiny new thing. So again, I don't want to drag my feet in terms of investigating the house, but if an opportunity comes up, and in this case here, it was an opportunity both to talk to someone as well as unlock a new area, you know, I want to take those, even if it means expanding a to-do list in another way. So collaborate Whist, we'll watch for what lies ahead. So again, we need one more conversation with Mr. Kill to make everything work out. We're getting close to the end of the day, but like I said, we have some possibilities ahead of us. So the skill is now level 3, its power aspects have also increased. Oops. So when I can, I will bring back the Faust at the Sweet Bones. Once we get the sort of bells and birds sound, I'll read as many books as I can. In fact, I think I have an idea about how I'm going to play the rest of the day. So we'll use our 6 here. So with 10 winter with Mr. Kill right now, I think the smartest thing for me to do is actually talk with him about memories for the next little while. So talk with Mr. Kill. Mr. Kill, Ryan Spry doesn't mind stopping for a gossip. Because if he winds up giving me something that I can use with Sacralamea, that just means that I get something that I can, it gives me more opportunities to investigate Elopolis Nook. That's going to happen within the next minute. I only need 30 seconds to be able to give him the U-block to boost his abilities. So this is an opportunity for me to make a little bit more of the day, because the challenge here is that you have this 1 minute gap in order to get the memories that you need. I guess it's a little bit more. I'll explain why in a minute, but there's this 1 minute gap where you're able to make an informed decision, at which point you're just sort of throwing things against the wall. Yeah, so this is the time where I'd want to make a decision. Now I get a little bit of extra leeway, which is why I'm going to wait to see the outcomes here. Better now. And I don't think I'm going to get money back, but I'm not going to restore anything at the Sweet Bones. I've already got what I need. Gossip. Okay, that doesn't give me anything. So, dead men don't tell no bloody tales. Well, we'd listen. Let's get him... I'm going to get him the wood. Additional supplies. So if it wasn't clear that you could do this with Mr. Kill, there's always this interesting question that you can ask of a game, right? It's and this to me is a big appeal of streaming, because it does sometimes force me to speak out loud the reasons why I think I can do certain things. So in this particular case, you know, how would I have known that Mr. Kill can do that? There's the description that he has, right? A tamer of trees, a worker of woods, a consigner of cadavers. He has also been known to try his hand very diffidently at poetry. That's also a little bit of a clue for the fact that he's somebody who you might be able to get access to Reverend Timothy with. Of course, if you start off, let's say, as the Twiceborn, then you don't have any trouble getting in touch with Reverend Timothy. But you know, reading the descriptions is not just nice writing. It does actually convey useful information. So the fact that he's a coffin maker, the fact that it already refers to him as a tamer of trees, is already a suggestion that perhaps you may be able to interact with him in terms of wood. But on top of that, if you take a look at the collaborate slot, and this is always a useful skill to pick up, and what I tend to find is that people will usually be good at picking this up on their own at the start of the game. But once they get comfortable and get set in their ways, then they are they're more inclined to forget to check these kinds of details. Because again, if the majority of assistants are maybe people you hire at the Sweet Bones, or, you know, just in general, somebody that you use quite regularly, then you're maybe going to miss the little details that change. And in the case of Mr. Kill, and it actually also says here in the square brackets, the assistant can also make use of wood. You've got the standard entries: element of the soul, beverage, memory, food, and tool. And in this particular case here, it also has wood. The pillars of the sky to some, to others, paper in waiting. Anyways, I don't need to... I'm not going to do that every single time there's an unusual aspect, but particularly Cultist Simulator, there are bits of characters' backgrounds which you can learn by noticing the presence or absence of certain aspects, and this is a trick that does get used over and over again in Secret Histories games. So if you want to give yourself just a little extra more enjoyment out of these games, definitely keep a sharp eye out. Even if you think you know something very well, taking a second to look over things that are quote-unquote obvious will usually give you something rewarding. So I figure because we've got Sacralamea, we can use the music. We don't have any worries about that being... we don't have any worries about that being duplicated. Not that we're really going to spend that much time talking with Mr. Kill anyway. Excuse me. I think I just whacked the microphone with my headset, so apologies if that wound up being uncomfortably loud for people. And okay, so we've got 2 music. I needed 3, so we can use my metal at Ambrose's desk. We can do a good old-fashioned storm. Okay, so the Foss gets used to level up Sacralamea, and we will use the Shaft to examine another one of the paintings, again at night. Investigate the object. You won't use this up or consume it by doing this. So we may try preserving one of these memories. We'll see where we're at the end of the day. Like I said, we will talk with Mr. Kill just to get a few more memories. And the main reason for that is I get to carry one with me overnight. I haven't been doing that for the last little while, but we are at a point where I've still been considering opening up a few different rooms. And in the case of gossip, gossip is helpful if I want to try and pursue the Squawkphologia with its 9 rows. All right, again at night, one of Dr. Levison's prefigures a close and impossible copy of a painting made 20 years later by Kirchner, whose work Levinson often anticipated in his mirror dreams. Watchful, hungry, both. Let it clutter up their shelves. This has improved their aspects appropriately. So we will talk with Mr. Kill because he's got the 11 aspect that we wanted. That'll probably take us into the night. Dusk night has fallen, dawn will come soon. So I'm confident that we're going to be able to level up Sacralamea in time. And again, the trick here is that you can talk to people into the night, but they will actually work through the night. So, and we wound up with a foresight. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales. Well, you'd listen. All right. So, let's get him to work on the Worm-Eaten Hall. This place bears the unmistakable traces of worms, the serpents which are no serpents. They are almost certainly gone, but we'll take no chances. Worms are difficult to evict from buildings, but much harder to evict from people. So this is the main goal of the day taken care of. Next up, we will read the remaining books. I know we're going over tonight, but I do want to make sure that I accomplish everything that I had set out. The Perugian Diaries. In 1907, at the age of 18, Christopher Lopoli left Strathcoyne's household to study theology at the University of Perugia in Italy, enrolling under the name Christopher Strathcoyne. For 4 years, since his adoption from a Bristol orphanage, Lopoli served as Strathcoyne's pupil and protege, but his relationship with this austere and secretive man was always complicated. His journal confides, "I still think Fraser's intentions are good, certainly he agrees, but I never understood the final goal of his investigations. He was never prepared to enlighten me, and good intentions or not, I can no longer bear this dream of eyes. We have agreed to part almost amicably." Lopoli left Perugia in 1909 without completing his degree. He had long lost interest in his studies, and the latter half of the journal is concerned with his studies of Umbrian folk songs and notes towards his own compositions, which are of widely varying quality. One of the better ones, In the Marshes of Night, suggests he visited the site of old Lake Fucinus near Ortuccio. The Geminiad Volume 3, a fragile manuscript illuminated with twinned shapes of sad and luminous beauty and with all the phases of the moon. It might be as old as the 7th century, but the language Fucine is much older. Coral decorates its cover, and its page edges are sharp enough to slash a throat. These pages outline the nature and the doctrines of an hour that demands the union of what has been separated, an hour which is sought at the water's edge and beneath the moon, the witch and sister. The language is elusive, enigmatic, intricate. It'll take some untangling. The 3rd volume of the Geminiad reminds us that the witch and sister has been known to manifest as the sister and witch, and that this face may heal while the other face is always hungry. It implies connections between the witch and sister and the hours of the wood, especially the secret keeper called the Velvet, but it is ambiguous on whether the witch and sister is a wood hour proper, and it speaks at length about the sadness of the two who are one, the sadness that remains from their time as flesh. Every once in a while I like to try and put in a book that requires translation because those are just a little bit more complicated to read. When I say a little bit more complicated, I literally just mean you put another card in. But the thing is that even a small inconvenience makes it less likely that you're going to read it. And it's nice to get these reminders because, again, you are going to be a different person at different times throughout the game. Sometimes literally in the sense that you have more elements of the soul, but I'm thinking more you as the player. You're just simply going to understand things in a different way. And it's always nice to sort of reread things, especially in light of maybe some other connections that you made. Maybe sometimes you just have a little bit of different emphasis on something that you hadn't expected before, which is the reason why I chose What Does Not Bark. Alexander Propst writes warily of Calyptra, a law, principle, or society which prevents the dissemination of dangerous knowledge. Calyptra, like the planet that occludes the star or the Doylean dog that fails to bark, can be identified only by its absence. Even the name, I think, must be a mask. Calyptra is said to make exceptions specifically for the libraries of the Watchman's Tree. Does it make those exceptions so the hours can make use of them? Okay, so let's get Sacralamea built up. I always think I'm probably mispronouncing it, and it's Limia, but then I don't know if it's a different spelling with it's a different spelling than River Limia, so I don't know. The rites of an order of immortals who have tried to remain apart. These rites touch on the hours of the Mansis, chiefly gods who are flesh and gods from light. I had a thought, but no, not important right now. All right. So we've accomplished everything that we wanted. I think probably because of the time, I'm going to leave it here. So that means that we're going to have a little bit of nighttime to run through in the on Monday's broadcast, but that's fine because this is actually the perfect way for me to set up a the next week's broadcast. Everything is already in motion. I just need to see things play out. Actually, there is one more thing that I can do, and that is to pick a memory to take with me through night. And I think, especially given that we're in the Violet Chamber, 6 generations of Dwulfairs were born in this room. It would have been 7, but Halfrin Waters had the ill grace to give birth to Baron Walter in, family legend has it, a cowbye outside Carisham. So we'll keep the gossip in this case. I think it's the only one I could keep anyway. But yeah, so I'll basically just watch this play out over the course of the evening, and then the main focus is going to be on leveling or on reading the remaining text. In fact, what I'm going to do here, Nin's Cages is definitely one that I can read with my existing resources. The Chandler's Wish, 5, 7, 9, 10. I can get up to 10. I mean, it's within the realm of possibility, but I probably don't want to move. I think it's pretty optimistic for me to think that I can read the Avignon text. Desires and Dissolutions, I think probably I can do a bit more with Secret Colors, but I don't have a whole lot of other moon outside the skill. So I think the rest of this can just stay put. But yeah, we should at least be able to read the Bruges text of Nin's Cages. So 3 more books to try and get through over the course of summer. If I feel like it, I can try and take advantage of the Rose and Moth that the Barber gives me, although again, I would really want that to sort of be sort of a big blinking green light because again, I just have so many different things that I can do. And if there winds up being sort of an interesting, an interesting room that I can unlock from here, I believe this is the kitchen. I'll follow up on that, but I definitely feel like skills and getting through the various paintings would be a good idea. So I'll actually maybe make a note for myself on the save file that we're on to Sedona. But all of that will be handled next week. As always, thank you very much for watching. I know this is probably one of my longer series that I've been running, but man, Book of Hours is a very, very special game, and I am delighted that there are enough of you to sort of keep along watching this with me. I'm always delighted by the comments. And again, we're at this nice little bit where we're starting to sort of show some progress in terms of like actually unlocking rooms, which I think a lot of people tend to associate as it's the most visible form of progress. There's actually a few other things that have been happening sort of just underneath the surface that I think a few of you may recognize that are also opening up a few other possibilities for us later on in the playthrough. And again, it's just a question of where the priorities lie. But needless to say, there's actually quite a bit that can happen, and it's just a question of finding the right time. But I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will be back Monday with another batch of episodes, and I think we're getting close to the point where there's going to be Christmas holidays and such. So Christmas is one of those cases where when there is a holiday, and it falls on my streaming schedule, that is actually the one time I really do want to keep doing a stream. So I kind of feel the same rule will apply for YouTube. Obviously, it's more about the time that I record these things, but I'm not expecting there to be any interruptions to the upload schedule, beyond me getting really overwhelmed with work or other obligations. So far, I've been able to sort of push those to a point where I can keep a balance. Anyways, this is a longer episode, and if I'm going to keep talking, I should at least give you some gameplay. So have a lovely weekend. We'll see you on Monday.